shape over size. So, you know, when you're working out, specifically bodybuilding, trying to build certain muscles, I like to use this point, shape over size, because it's not about just trying to get as big as possible, especially for us natties. If you're trying to get as big as possible, you would just hop on all sorts of PEDs and anabolics and stuff like that. And no judgment if that's what you're trying to do. This channel, we're talking about natural bodybuilding. And so you can still develop aesthetics being natural. You don't need to be super huge. In fact, sometimes being super huge is unaesthetic. Proportions are all whacked out. You know, they don't even make sense. People don't even look human at a certain point. You know, Arnold kind of talked about this, kind of got some flack for it, but was just saying that bodybuilders today are just too big. You know, there's no proportions anymore. Things just look wacky, you know, cartoonish. So, you know, for a natural, what you want to do is keep your proportions in check. You know, you don't really have to worry about being too big, in my opinion, if you're a natural. Maybe too fluffy, right? Too much body fat. But you can pack on as much muscle as you are able to naturally to develop aesthetics. But just accentuate certain muscles, right? So like the delts, the lats, the chest, things like that. Keeping the waist super tight, super small, right? You don't want a big blocky waist, which is why I always advocate, if you're going to train abs, do it without weights, right? Just use your body weight. Stomach vacuums, really focusing on the lower abs. That's a weak point for most people, men and women. But yeah, and really use the power of visualization to sculpt the body that you're trying to look like, right? So if you're like trying to put on size on like your delts, your shoulders, then, you know, really use the power of the mind on what you're trying to get those to look like, you know. And then of course you got to use action and act out, right? So give some extra love and attention to those body parts. Body parts that you see are lagging, you know, I have really small forearms, or at least I used to, and so I give attention to my forearms. You know, a lot of people don't train forearms at all, so they have these big arms up top, and then it just kind of goes to a twig. And I decided I didn't want that look. I care about proportions. I care about aesthetics. So I use visualization to help me with that. And you know, just bringing back the artistic side of bodybuilding. You know, bodybuilding, I think, used to be more artistic than it is now. You know, now it just seems like just trying to get as huge as possible. And I'm generalizing. A lot of people don't feel that way, but some do. And back in the day, it was more about, you know, how do your muscles flow together? What are the proportions like? How are your aesthetics? You know, those all mattered more than just trying to be as big as possible. So, you know, I mentioned in another video, I don't really train my traps because my traps are so overly developed just from genetics that I don't want to be super trap heavy, right? Because I'm trying to keep those proportions in check. So when I train shoulders, it's pretty much all delt work. I'm not doing traps. Now my traps still get worked when I'm doing compound exercises, right? Benching, pull-ups, things like that, pull downs. But I really try to accentuate other parts of the body that are less developed, right? Because I'm going for a proportioned look. You know, and it should be a process, right? It should be a process that should be enjoyed, kind of like sculpting, you know, a statue, right? So you need to add more mass here, take some things off here. You do it bit by bit, and it's never ending. You're never going to get to a point where you're just completely satisfied. So, you know, just enjoy the process and keep adding to the gains that you're making, right? Trying to put on size, you got to be in a calorie surplus, right? Like we've talked about, number one thing. Trying to take some fluff off, you got to be in a calorie deficit. But when you're trying to put on muscle, you know, be mindful of the muscle that you're putting on. And like I said, you know, us natties, we don't have to really worry about being too big. I mean, you can only be so lucky, right, to put on too much muscle. I don't think that's a thing. Um, However, there is a bunch of people who claim natural and are not, right? And they set kind of these unrealistic tones of what is possible, right? Or some people will do a cycle or two, come off, and then, you know, claim natural because they're currently not on stuff. And, you know, at that point, you've already upped things so much in your body that it doesn't matter if you stopped. Like you're already going to be unachievable for someone who's lifelong natty who will never touch that stuff. So, you know, I'm proud of the physique that I built, and being natural helps with that pride. You know, there's no supplement that really gave me these gains. I just got them on my own, and so, you know, the best compliment in the world is when I'm accused, or even not accused, even in a nice, polite way, like asked what my stack is, right? When I'm out in public, that just warms my heart, right? I know I'm doing something right then, you know. And I'm not the first one, nor will I be the last. There are a lot of natties out there, but I just wanted to point out there's a lot of people that claim natural, and whether it's for legal reasons or business reasons or just egotistical reasons, they claim natural, and it kind of gives this distorted image of what is achievable naturally. So yeah, just really trying to bring back that art, that sculpting part of bodybuilding, and that's what I mean by shape over size. You know, I care more about how someone's shape of their muscles look than just being massive. So yeah, hope that helps. Waist tight, big delts, kind of big up top, come down tight, and then big legs as well.